proud sponsors of the Cars Ireland YouTube channel. Cartel.ie, for car history data you can trust. Buying a used car? Get an exclusive coupon code now. See the comment section for more details.
Hello from a very wet day in Dublin. I'm Sinead McCann, and this car you see behind me probably needs no introduction at this stage. It's the one everybody's talking about. It's the Volkswagen ID.4, their first fully electric family SUV. So why the big deal about this one, you might ask? Well, this is the car that apparently has enough range, enough space, and is good enough value to finally convince the very large SUV loving family end of the market that now is the time to go electric. No pressure then. On the space front, well, firstly, like the ID.3, this is quite a substantial car in the metal, and again can be quite deceptive when you compare to pictures and brochures, and that it's quite a bit chunkier in real life, which hopefully translates well to what's inside. So the boot, for example, is absolutely enormous at 543 litres. That is absolutely massive and quite a bit bigger than most other family SUVs on the market at the moment, including the likes of the Skoda Karoq and current EV boot champions, the Kia e-Niro and MG ZS EV. Now, in comparison to its own Tiguan sibling, it doesn't quite reach its max capacity of 610 litres, but don't forget that on the Tiguan, to achieve that, you have to sacrifice your back seat passengers' legroom. So if you intend on filling those back seats, then it's much of a muchness really. So it's a good wide open space, no load lip, very easy to load, your standard boot affair. We've got a torch here, a shopping bag hook, and a 12-volt charging socket, as well as a very handy false floor to keep your charging cables in, keep everything nice and neat and stop it from rattling around. Room back here is also exceptional, both in terms of length and legroom and across the rear bench. It really does stand out as a very spacious backseat area. As you can see, I have tons of head and legroom, plus I can fit this bulky rear-facing child seat here without any issues, with plenty of room for another one here, and still plenty of space to play with in the middle here for a smaller child or adult, and they won't have any annoying hump in the floor to contend with here either. You've got a couple of USB charging ports down here, as well as temperature controls, some handy storage areas in the door bins on the backs of the chairs, and my personal favourite is this pocket on the back of both doors, and any parents watching will immediately see how genius that is. So if you can picture the scene, you've got a whiny toddler, it's another 20 minutes before you can stop anywhere, then all of a sudden, problem solved. And now the driver's seat, the most important one in the house. Once again, an overwhelming feeling of space, and like the ID.3, it's a really spacious, airy feeling cabin. That's helped in part by the panoramic roof on this first edition model. Got a nice stretched back windscreen, and then just a general lack of a need for a lot of stuff due to it being electric. So you've got a nice clutter-free centre console here with some clever storage areas so that you can add your own clutter. Down here we've got some adjustable, removable cup holders, a handy storage area to put your phone, and it's also got wireless phone charging, which is a really cool feature. Another 2 cup holders up here, which again are removable if you don't have that many cups. The gear selector, like on the ID.3, is positioned up here behind the steering wheel, which is a position I really like actually, and one you get used to very quickly. Other than that, it's a pretty standard affair. It's a very nice interior, if not that exciting. There are a couple of quirks around the place. Over here, for example, instead of having 4 separate switches for the electric windows, you've got 2, and then you can toggle between the front and back with this button here, which is really quite clever. And then quality for the most part is decent, especially along the main body. You will find a little bit of scratch if you go looking for it, but that is a trend that Volkswagen have been kind of slipping into for a while now, especially if you look at some of its more recent crossovers like the T-Roc and the T-Cross. So I'm not sure that we can put that down exclusively to weight saving range extension either. What is fabulous though is this brown leather and grey suede combination on the seats. You've got a skinny little retractable armrest there too, and one for your passenger. This comes on the first edition models, which is what this one is. It's actually the first edition Max, which comes with the larger 77 kilowatt hour battery, which is apparently capable of up to 519 kilometres on a single charge. And it comes with a price tag of €43,500. Now, considering the space, the range and the huge amount of extras on board these special editions, those funky 20-inch alloy wheels, the panoramic roof and a reversing camera to name but a few, I think that represents really good value for money. And in fact, I think it's one of the only times I've had to double check the price on the spec sheet in a positive way. Now, unfortunately, as is the nature of special editions, once they're gone, they're gone. But when they are, there will still be good value to be had across an extensive list of trim levels and a choice of battery size. So you'll be able to get into the entry-level 52 kilowatt hour version from just €36,000, or you can go right the way up past €62,000 for the fully pimped, super fast charging 77 kilowatt hour max version, which comes with so much additional equipment it actually depletes the range by a few kilometres. And there's a really good breakdown of those trim levels available on the Volkswagen website. I'm just going to touch briefly on the infotainment system before we take it for a drive. It's very, very similar to what's in the ID.3, a well-placed, highly functional touchscreen that houses all the major everyday controls. Now, if you're someone who's not crazy on touchscreen controls, I think you're going to like the little compromise that they've made here with the volume and temperature controls, and that it's a little kind of touchscreen slider, but it's always in the same place. So once you know where it is, it's there. It might as well be a button, and I really like it. Then you've also got some more semi-touchscreen controls on the steering wheel, so you're bound to find some kind of combination to make you happy. Now also, I might be imagining it, but it does feel a bit more responsive than what was in the ID.3, certainly feels a lot faster, and then this version comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which has been working seamlessly for me so far. And the inbuilt system is pretty good too. It's nice and simple and effective. So the big question is it good to drive? And the slightly cryptic answer to that is, well, define good. It's certainly very relaxing to drive, it's very comfortable to drive, but I think I'd probably have to stop short of calling it enjoyable to drive because it's just so heavy. This car weighs in at 2.1 tonnes and it feels it. Granted, it's obviously because there's a huge amount of battery power on board and the range is excellent. Maybe I should have started there actually, because the energy usage is quite impressive. Also, I've been averaging about 20 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometres during what has been a really dreadful week weather-wise, as you can see here. So wipers on full blast, heating on full blast, and yes, it is late May, but those are the joys of living in Ireland. But unfortunately, the trade-off for that is a drive that feels a little bit sludgy. In fact, it feels a little bit like driving through water, and God knows we do enough of that here already. And on paper, it looks like so much fun. It's rear-wheel drive, 204 horsepower. I mean, it can do 0 to 100 kilometres an hour in a little over 8 seconds, so it's not slow, but it's just not a car that was going to put a smile on your face. But then again, there are very few family SUVs, electric or otherwise, that are going to be laugh a minute. But if you're someone who's really into your driving, I would recommend definitely take a spin in one first to make sure that you're going to get on okay with it. And for the most part, I think that most people will. It does still have that lovely electric drive feel of immediate power and a lovely relaxing cabin. And in that respect, as a family car, it really does still tick all those boxes. Now, the suspension is probably on the stiffer end of the spectrum. I guess it has to be to cope with all that extra weight. But they did do a good job of ensuring that that doesn't translate into jarring in the cabin. And it does take the jolt nicely out of any lumps and bumps for what is, for the most part, a very smooth and comfortable ride. The steering itself is also nice and light, which is a nice contrast to that heavy feel of the car and does help to offset it a little bit. And it was all going so well there for a while. This is a real conflict for me because this is one that I thought I'd be shouting from the rooftops to recommend. And to be fair, it is still one of the most spacious, best value and most capable long-range electric vehicles on the market. And it still fits the bill as one of the most family-friendly and practical EVs to appear so far. If you'd like to see one for yourself, maybe take one for a spin and make your own mind up, you can do so at your local Volkswagen dealer, details of which you'll find on CarsIreland.ie. Really hope you enjoyed the video and that you found it helpful. Please let us know what you think yourself in the comments section below. Like and share if you enjoyed the video, and if you'd like to see more like it, hit subscribe.